In 2045, World War III started and lasted for 20 years, drastically reducing the world population. The war stopped when magicians prevented an escalation into thermonuclear war but led to a global arms race in magic. In the past, a boy named Shiba Tatsuya protected his sister Shiba Miyuki with powerful magic. In the present day, Miyuki complains that Tatsuya is not a Course 1 student and is in the reserve, while Tatsuya reminds her that their school values practical magical skills more than magical theory. He feels lucky that he was accepted to their school as a Course 2 student, and Miyuki leaves for opening ceremony rehearsal after being encouraged by her brother. In their school, students are placed into 2 different tracks depending on how they perform on tests during enrollment. And this difference has created a division between the students, resulting in Course 1 students calling themselves blooms and Course 2 students referred to as weeds. On his way to the school, his peers call him a weed and he runs into Sigursa Mayumi, who is the president of the student council. She seems to recognize him, but before they can talk further, another student from the council, Nakaju Azusa, comes to get Mayumi. Arriving at the auditorium, Tatsuya notices the discrimination between Course 1 students and Course 2 students. Sitting in the Course 2 section, he meets Shibata Mizuki and Chiba Erika. At the opening ceremony, his sister Miyuki gives a speech. After the ceremony ends, Tatsuya waits for his sister alongside Mizuki and Erika. Mizuki feels that Tatsuya and Miyuki have the same aura and correctly guesses they are siblings. Tatsuya realizes that Mizuki has oversensitivity to spirit particle emission that helped her guess correctly, and Tatsuya becomes wary of her ability. Miyuki approaches and asks Tatsuya whether he is already dating his classmates. He denies her accusation and scolds her. Erika and Mizuki become flustered after witnessing Tatsuya and Miyuki acting a little too intimate for siblings. Later, Miyuki admits that she just received a call from their parents and asks whether Tatsuya had also heard from, but they have not contacted him. Miyuki quickly becomes upset that their parents ignore her brother, and her magic begins to freeze the kitchen. Tatsuya calms her and explains that their parents are angry because he refused to work at their father's company. The next day, the siblings go to a ninja dojo where Tatsuya is attacked by the trainees of the dojo as part of his exercise routine. At the same time, Yakumo, a famous ninjutsu artist who specializes in traditional shinobi magic, sneaks up on Miyuki and becomes excited about her uniform. Tatsuya attacks Yakumo as Miyuki becomes flustered, and the two exchange blows. Yakumo states that in a battle of strict taijutsu, Tatsuya has no chance against his master. Tatsuya is eventually defeated and Miyuki gives her brother a towel. Tatsuya apologizes for getting their clothes dirty, and she pulls out a casting assistant device to clean their clothes with magic. Miyuki and Tatsuya head for breakfast and they invite Yakumo. In class with Mizuki and Erika, Tatsuya meets Seijo Leonhard, who gets into an argument with Erika because he called her a dude. They exchange insults. Meanwhile, another student named Yoshida Mikihiko observes them from the back of the class. The bell rings and the students are surprised to see their instructor. At lunch, Tatsuya, Mizuki, Erika, and Leo are all sitting with each other when Miyuki asks to join them. Tatsuya introduces his sister to Leo, but a group of elitist blooms ask her not to sit with weeds while insulting her brother and his friends. Avoiding confrontation, Tatsuya tells his sister that he is done eating and leaves the cafeteria. Although Miyuki wants to return home with her brother, they are stopped by Course 1 students who wish to prevent her from associating herself with weeds. They are confident in their superiority, and an argument starts between the Course 1 and Course 2 students. Shun Morisaki, a Course 1 student, brings out a casting assistant device and Leo attacks him. At the same time, Erika knocks out his casting assistant device. Other students, such as Mitsui Hanoka, also begin to cast magic. Suddenly, Mayumi and Watanabe Mary, the head of the disciplinary committee, arrive. Tatsuya lies to the head of the disciplinary committee to protect the students. He also lies that another student's attack spell was a flash spell at a suppressed level, stating that he can read all the students' activation sequences. Tatsuya muses that although the Magic High School is elite on the outside, as soon as you join you are considered either an elite honor student or an irregular. Miyuki claims to Mary that the incident was a misunderstanding, and the president persuades Mary to back down as long as the incident does not occur again. Mary asks for Tatsuya's name and Mary says she will remember it. Morisaki is insulted and he and the male Course 1 students leave. Kitayama Shizuku and Hanoka, who are both blooms, apologize to Tatsuya and the others and join the rest of the students back to the station. As the students all walk home, they discuss how Tatsuya works to help maintain his sister's cat. It turns out Erika's baton is also a cat. The next day, Mayumi approaches Tatsuya and Miyuki and invites them to the student council room at lunchtime. At the office, the siblings meet Ikahara Suzune, the treasurer, and Azusa, the secretary, alongside Mary, who they met at the student incident. They represent all the members in the student council. After lunch, the president invites Miyuki to join the student council as the first-year student representative. Miyuki asks if Tatsuya can also join, but they state that of course 2 students cannot join the student council. Miyuki hesitates but joins at Tatsuya's approval. Mary informs the council on the possibility of having Tatsuya join as a member of the disciplinary committee using a loophole to get around the fact that he is a Course 2 student. Tatsuya clarifies that the responsibility he would have would be to stop student fights, and he postpones the discussion till later. In that day's class, Tatsuya and his friends talk about his invitation to the committee. They work on moving a cart back and forth with magic, but Tatsuya finds even among Course 2 students he is slow. Because of this, he plans to decline the invitation from the student council. At the end of the day, the siblings arrive at the student council room, where Hattori Jayabushoju Hanzu, the vice president of the council, ignores Tatsuya to introduce himself to Miyuki. Hattori quickly protests Tatsuya's appointment to the disciplinary committee on account of him being a Course 2 student and a first year. Mary states that he is valuable because he can read the activation sequences of the student's magic, making him valuable to the committee. She is also trying to prevent discrimination among the disciplinary committee by appointing an irregular. Miyuki defends her brother and states that he can defeat anyone at the school even if his practical scores were low. Hanzu accuses Miyuki of nepotism and favoring her brother, and Tatsuya challenges Hanzu to a duel. The student council and Miyuki gather to watch the duel, where Mary is the referee. Hanzu considers Tatsuya and plans to launch a simple but speedy movement spell to knock Tatsuya out quickly. Hattori is confident in his ability to defeat a weed, but Tatsuya wins as soon as the duel starts by ambushing Hanzu from behind and knocking the vice president out. Mary confronts Tatsuya on his quick defeat of Hanzu and asks if he used a speed spell, but he replies that he used only physical ability. Miyuki reveals that Tatsuya is trained in Taijutsu, and Tatsuya reveals that he defeated Hanzu by using compound waves, a technique of 3 oscillating waves that caused Hanzu to hallucinate. Mary questions how Tatsuya had the processing power to perform such a complex technique, and Azusa discovers that Tatsuya is using a CAD silver horn, a product of a mysterious CAD engineer whose identity is unknown, who came up with the revolutionary loop casting technique that enables user to launch consecutive invocations of the same spell. Hanzu realizes that the school cannot rate Tatsuya's practical abilities properly because the ability to multicast is not within their testing parameters, and he apologizes to Miyuki for accusing her of nepotism. He leaves without saying anything to Tatsuya. The next day, Tatsuya discovers that Murasaki is also joining the disciplinary committee, and he was recommended by a faculty member. Members of the committee return from a patrol, and they are shocked to find out that Tatsuya defeated Hanzu, who has since been unbeaten in any duel since starting at the high school. Mori reveals to Tatsuya that she is also sick of the discrimination at the school. The 2 committee members introduce themselves as Tatsumi Katero and Sawaki Midori. That night, Miyuki approaches Tatsuya to improve her CAD as she was inspired from the day's duel and would like to improve her combat capabilities. In the morning, Mary introduces Murasaki and Tatsuya as new members of the disciplinary committee. Murasaki is unhappy to see Tatsuya at the meeting. Later, Tatsuya borrows 2 old school CADs from the committee and is quickly insulted by Murasaki. Mobbed by many school club recruiters, Tatsuya helps Erika to run away after she cries for help. The 2 go together to see the Kendo club, which Erika finds boring. At the exhibition, they see an argument between the Kendo and the Kenjutsu club. Mibu Sayaka of the Kendo club and Kirihara Taitaki of the Kenjutsu club challenge each other to a duel, where Sayaka wins. Upset by his defeat, activates a spell to attack Sayaka. Tatsuya quickly stops him with his 2 CADs and takes him down for using magic improperly. Enraged that a weed like Tatsuya is on the disciplinary committee and is taking in Taitaki, the rest of the Kenjutsu club members attack Tatsuya, who quickly demolishes them effortlessly. Meanwhile, the captain of the Kendo club, Kimono Kino, arrives and observes Tatsuya fighting the Kenjutsu club. The next day, Tatsuya gives a report of the fight between the Kendo and Kenjutsu clubs to Mary, Mayumi, and Jumonji Katsudo, the chairman of the Extracurricular Activities Federation, who is in charge of all club activities. Tatsuya states that he did not see who started the fight and did not intervene immediately, as he thought they would fight would only result in bruises, and that he stepped in when the duel escalated. Katsudo states that since Taitaki uses a potentially lethal spell, he will discuss the matter with him, and Mary leaves disciplinary action up to Katsudo. Tatsuya later meets with his friends and his sister after school, where they discuss the incident. Miyuki is proud of her brother's skill in physical combat with his ability to nullify magic using his counter magic abilities. The 2 begin to act intimate, and the rest of the group become embarrassed. The group wonder how Tatsuya can cast counter magic to nullify magic when normally such magic is expensive due to the use of Antonite. Antonite is a military resource and not given to civilians. Tatsuya asks his friends to keep a secret, that he has discovered a way to imitate spell jamming when using 2 CADs at once, which is why he asked for 2 old CADs from the disciplinary committee. His friends are amazed because he has discovered new and powerful magic, and Leo wonders why Tatsuya does not reveal this new ability, but Tatsuya explains that the consequences of this new magic are too great to reveal prematurely. Miyuki counters Tatsuya's concern by stating that for someone to use this technique to its fullest, they would need to be able to identify their opponent's spells, which Tatsuya is the only one skilled enough to accomplish. The next day, Tatsuya receives a call that a fight has broken out and he is to report as a member of the disciplinary committee. But on the way, he is assaulted by a mysterious attacker who escapes with magic. Tatsuya makes a note of a band the man is wearing. Later, Tatsuya is off duty after building a reputation as a fearsome member of the disciplinary committee, as he has stopped several fights, including the duel between the Kendo and Kenjutsu clubs. Later, while walking with Miyuki, they are met by Sayaka, who asks to speak with Tatsuya, and they agree to meet in a cafe after school. Miyuki voices her concern over Tatsuya meeting Sayaka, and that her brother's growing reputation at the school could lead to others wanting to use him. Tatsuya assures Miyuki that he will take care of himself and be careful. At the cafe after school, Sayaka thanks Tatsuya for his help in the duel, though she feels that the situation has been overblown by the rest of the student body. Sayaka asks if Tatsuya can join the Kendo club, and Tatsuya immediately declines but asks her why she wants to recruit him to the Kendo club. Sayaka explains that she feels wrong that the school is divided into blooms and weeds are denied practical skills training. She explains that later this year, the non-magical oriented clubs were going to unite into a federation separated from the extracurricular activities federation and bring their complaints to the school. As a Course 2 student and member of the disciplinary committee, she asks for his help in taking their complaints to the school. At lunch with the student council the next day, Mary and Mayumi joke about rumors that have started between Tatsuya and Sayaka since several students saw them talking in the cafe. Miyuki begins to leak magic as she gets tense, and her brother calms her down, stating that rumors of him flirting with Sayaka are all a misunderstanding. Tatsuya explains the situation and Sayaka's concern to the council. Mayumi believes that someone seems to be creating rumors to discredit the school, to which Tatsuya wonders if Blanche is at fault. Mary and Mayumi are shocked that Tatsuya has knowledge of Blanche, which is an anti-magic organization and is a highly classified secret. Tatsuya comforts Mayumi, saying that since the government has not handled Blanche well, it is not her fault if they have influence in the school, and the rest of the council joke at this, causing Miyuki to leak magic in anger. After Tatsuya calms down Miyuki, he states that he plans to meet with Sayaka again. Later, Tatsuya is summoned by the counselor Ono Haruka, and when they meet, Tatsuya criticizes her for wearing provocative clothes. Initially flustered, Haruka begins her assessment of Tatsuya, but at the end of the assessment, Haruka brings up the rumors between him and Sayaka and asks Tatsuya to keep her informed if the two begin dating. That night, Sayaka and Kino meet, and Kino insists that as second course students, Tatsuya must be recruited to their cause as he is skilled and powerful. Meanwhile, Tatsuya and Miyuki discuss Blanche and the information he has collected on this terrorist organization. He states that during recruitment week he saw a member of Irregular, a subordinate organization of Blanche, at the school, having recognized the band from his assailant earlier in the week. Tatsuya goes on to explain that on the surface, Blanche doesn't reject magic and is against social discrimination, and that they focus on the imbalance in median income among the population. Tatsuya states that this imbalance comes from high-income individuals having skills necessary to society. Miyuki points out that magicians of high income spend years in training to be able to get their skills. Tatsuya feels that discriminated students at his school may be swayed by the terrorist organization, as they feel discrimination from their peers and would be enticed by the idea of equality. He also states that if he did not have his unique abilities, he might have fallen for their arguments. He feels that the ultimate goal is to weaken and drain magic from Japan. The siblings agree they must act, or the 10 master clans, a cabal of the 10 most powerful clans in Japan, will be forced to interfere, which could force the two siblings to return to the Yotsuba clan, one of the 10 master clans and strongest magical families in Japan. Tatsuya assures Miyuki that he will protect her against this and they will not return to their aunt. And this is all for this video. Make sure to subscribe if you enjoyed it, and I will see you in the next one.